Hello, YouTube and Stormworks. I am TDC, also known as Timothy, also known as Timo, also known as Tim, but some people call me Timmy. They're stupid. I'm with my gu I'm with my boy, Adam, and he's the one driving the beautiful truck. Today we're gonna demonstrate all the different features on said brush truck. So let's get to it. First, let's check out the engine. The engine is a six-cylinder flat engine with two alternators, an electrically pumped coolant system with an electric radiator, of course, and the engine, along with a six-speed sequential transmission, allows this truck to reach 65 kilometers an hour, which is around 40 miles per hour. In a regular climate like this one, where it's pretty normal temperatures, um, in between the very hot and very cold areas, this engine reaches up to 50-55 degrees Celsius. Um, what like in max revs, sixth gear, all of that. In hotter climates, it reaches 67 degrees Celsius, and that's currently the most accurate uh, measurement that we've done on this thing. So I know for sure about that. On the back of the truck, we got one attack line and one supply intake, plus a bunch of dials to keep track of how the truck is doing, how the tank is doing, what air level it has, what water level it has, what pressure it has, plus the attack line pressure. Now, here we have the controls for the attack line, which is situated on the side. I know, stupid, but it looks nicer. We have a little light to light up the place when it's pitch black, uh, difficult to see, and you have fires all around you. You want to reach the controls. So if I connect this real quick, we can open the attack line with this key, and we can regulate the pump speed with this lever, this throttle switch lever thing. Let's stop that. This supply intake works where you turn the key and it opens the valves, which in turn lets the water flow in through here, as well as, if I can get up on this thing, I'll actually just do that. There we go. A fluid port, top, an air valve, I guess you could say, which lets the air escape while you pump in the water. And this works with tanker trailers, with tanker apparatuses, with hydrants, works with everything. At max power, you can pump and deplete the whole tank in just over 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 7 seconds is what I measured. Uh, and while this is a very short time, this is a very nimble, small vehicle, so you can get around trees and stuff much easier than bigger vehicles. So you won't need max power, but it is an option. At the back of the truck, as well, you have the state-of-the-art tank level warning system. Now, I have no idea if that's what I actually called it before, but once this little white line reaches the red line, you're gonna hear an audible warning and a light flashing to tell you that the tank is soon depleted, and once you reach that point as well, the water pressure will start dropping significantly. Another feature of the automatic tank level warning system is that once you shut off the whole attack line, it will shut off and the light won't flash anymore because it's unnecessary. But in case you accidentally open it again because you think, oh, I'm gonna put out this small fire, it will warn you once more that it's nearly depleted. On the left side of the truck, the driver's side specifically, you have a utilities hatch which houses the electrical cable anchor and the fuel anchor, I guess. So you can recharge the battery in case it's running low. You can see the battery level here, and you can refill the fuel tank, which you can see here. The compartments and equipment go counterclockwise, where the first compartment is the closest to the driver's side door, and the last compartment is the closest to the passenger side door. Now, in each compartment, you have different types of equipment. The first one, we have 2 firefighting outfits, because there's only space for 2 people. In the second compartment, you have 2 extinguishers and 3 bundles of rope. The extinguishers being if the truck somehow catches on fire, or if there's a smaller fire that you can take care of with just an extinguisher and not high pressure water. The rope is for recovering the truck or recovering other vehicles that are stuck somewhere, maybe down a hill or in a fire. It's very useful for rescuing fellow buddies. The third compartment, we have all of the medical equipment plus some rescue equipment. First, we have a defibrillator, 4 uses, marked with this signature green color that I use on all the defibrillators, of course. We have 3 sets of glow sticks, 1 set of flares, 1 box of flare gun ammo, and 1 flare gun. Now, all of these are to light up the area, but the flare gun and flare gun ammo is more so if you need to be rescued, if your truck has been damaged and you're stuck in a fire, or if you want to guide your fellow firefighters to your position. The glow sticks are just to light up the surrounding areas, as this does not have any scene lights. Lastly, we have 6 first aid kits, 4 uses in each of them, for either the driver, passenger, or victims of a fire. Lastly, we have the fourth compartment, which houses all of the hoses. There are 6 hoses. While this can only use 2 at once, one for pumping in water, and one for pumping out water. We have spare hoses in case hoses break, or in case other people need hoses. In the cab, which is a 2-seater cab, we have very, very nice HUD mirrors, which work so you can see the blind spots a little clearer. There's not a huge monitor in the way, and so you can see behind you. The cab also has a radio for the driver, a handbrake, which you engage like this, but never do that when driving, like I just did. We have a gear selector thing, indicator, which uses the arrow keys, the up and down arrow keys to select gears. It's sequential, so yeah. We have turn signal indicators. We have a speedometer. I don't know what it's called, but an RPM meter. And we have the fuel tank dial. Shows us how much fuel we have left. Next to each seat, there's a handheld radio, so you can communicate to each other at shorter distances at a fire scene, or to communicate to the truck if there's someone staying behind. At the top, we have a little switch for the dome light, and we have a dome light as well, obviously. So we can light up without blinding the driver, unless it's very foggy. At the back, we have a speaker for the radio, and right below there, there's a microphone for whenever you need to talk in the radio. Now, let's go through the features on the exterior of this thing. First, we have the lights. So they work in a cycling system where you press the 1 key to cycle through 4 different modes of lights: off, headlights, high beams, and fog lights. Now, yes, as Adam is demonstrating, if you quickly just hit the brakes, you can see the brake lights and tail lights turn on at once. But if you also turn on the tail lights or the headlights real quick, and now hit the brakes, you can see that they work separately in a way, which is pretty easy to make, thankfully. Otherwise, I would have been very annoyed at this game. Um, Now, if we change it to night real quick, and you turn on the headlights, they have a pretty decent distance. Now, these headlights, they're facing down, they're aimed downwards so that it doesn't blind drivers. Um, if you turn on the high beams, you can see that high beams have a very good distance. They reach pretty far, you can see signs and everything. Um, I'm working on that as well. I'm working on signs, so stay tuned. And the fog lights, real quick. The fog lights, they reach a little further than the high beams, have a wider spread, but they also just work better in fog. Well, yeah, they're fog lights. They're supposed to work better in fog. If I can turn it off. There we go. Take a right, maybe. Sorry, I was late on that. Oh yeah, turn signals. Show them off. So, you can see we have turn signals. It's 3 lights for each side, plus the indicators on the inside. We have a little arrow in the back to show which direction you're turning, and you have just indicator lights on each side to show you which side you want to turn to. Now, to turn it on, you just press the left or right key. To turn it off, you press the same key, you press to turn it on again. And if you want to switch from indicating that you're turning to the left to then turn to the right, you just press the opposite arrow key and it will automatically switch over to the other system. That's why you have to press it twice to turn it off. One of the last features we have is the ELS, Emergency Lighting System, if you would demonstrate that. So we have 6 different modes, 5 different patterns. This is the first pattern, which is just a simple looping right to left pattern, pretty slow, not that urgent calls, stuff like that. Next pattern, thank you. The next one is just a quicker version of the previous one. So for slightly more urgent calls, maybe you're on a smaller street, well then you probably wouldn't use this, but a lesser used road, you would probably use this. Next pattern, thank you. This pattern is an alternating pattern, as in it changes which lights. It's similar to the other one, where it just changes which lights it uses, but also which speed it flashes at. As you can see, it's very fast now, and now it's slow. Now, most lights are connected directly to each other, but they all flash in slightly different patterns. This pattern is a sweeping or swooping pattern, whatever you want to call it, where the light bar just has a single light. Well, not exactly a single light, it has more like 4 lights on it at once, but it goes from left to right on both sides. Or you can just imagine it going to the middle and back, bouncing off of each other. I like to imagine that. It has the same pattern for the rest of the lights as the previous pattern, um, because it's simple. Now this is the last pattern. Oh god, lag spike. This is the last pattern. It's a completely randomized pattern using a bunch of different blinkers. Now, what I didn't realize until after I was done with the whole vehicle was that the lights on the left side and the back are directly connected to each other. Slightly inconvenient, because you want them to be different, but it's fine. And now we can turn them off. So yeah, that was the ELS. If we turn on some lights, emergency lights, real quick, I would like to demonstrate the sirens.
Oh, just a minute.
Yeah, just the lights, ELS.
Okay.
Those work fine. Now you don't need them to be on, but just because it makes more sense to have them on when you use the sirens. Now, the sirens use the same cycle as all the other things. You just press the 3 key and it will cycle through the different siren modes. The wail, as demonstrated here, the yelp, as demonstrated here, and the high-low, as demonstrated here. Those are the 3 different sirens that you can use on this thing. You can only use them individually, unlike the heavy brush truck, which uses multiple sirens as once. If you want to, of course. The last thing is the air horn, which uses 2 differently pitched air horns. Demonstrated. There we go. It's a loud air horn, so you can warn oncoming traffic or just people in general that there's a fire truck coming. There's a brush truck. And that's pretty much it for the brush truck O2. O2 is just there because I already have a brush truck, but you can change the number to whatever you want for whatever fire department you have. A final note that I would like to mention is that Adam here is not terrible at driving, as it may seem. It's just that the current steering system is very basic and is not at all well optimized for higher speeds. Now, I am working on getting that fixed. I will implement it in a future update. Um, but Adam is not at all terrible at driving. It's just the fact that I haven't fixed the final bits of the steering yet. There are multiple features that I'm going to add to all my vehicles, steering being the first of them, of course. Optimized high-speed steering, I guess. But yeah, thank you for watching this demonstration. Um, Thank you to Adam for helping me out.
You're
And yes, sir. And thank you to everyone who watched and who's downloaded this for supporting me. I forgot to add how Adam mentioned this to me right after I ended recording. This can climb very steep hills because of the fact that it has a very low gear ratio in the first gear. I don't know if it's high or low. I don't remember how it works. Um, and it has deflated tires. That's also something said. Of course, there's a new mission. We've been at
There's
this for
also
so
engine
long.
brake.
There's also what, sorry?
Yes. There's also engine braking. So when you climb
Yeah,
down the
technically.
steep hill, you won't actually get out of control.
Yeah. Well, sort of. Not exactly. It's just the fact that the engine doesn't like being at higher RPMs when it's
Yeah,
not being throttled.
exactly.
But yeah, you're right. You can drive this at idle if you want. It works totally fine. 20 kilometers something an hour. Sixth gear idle. So you can check it right now. If you head into sixth gear, yeah. But yeah, 65 kilometers an hour. It can idle at very nice speeds as well. Has a lot of torque, and it can drive for a long time as well. I forgot to mention that in the video. It can drive for almost 3 hours, 2 hours and 48 minutes, I think. But yes, thank you once again.